I spilled some beer and this book is wet. I'll just wipe it with my shirt.
Hey, it's Sue.
And Megan, the Spine Breakers. And today we are going to do a little bit of a book haul.
Yep.
Yep.
Also, we're filming on my phone, and we're doing it front-facing, so we may be flipped in this video, so sorry if we freak any of you out by being on the opposite side.
We promise it's not like that in real life.
Right. Yeah, but there's a bookstore here in town that the owners are retiring, and so they're having a, like, all their books are $1 right now. They're trying to, like, clear as much of their inventory as they can. So we went there, and we got a few books. We didn't go too overboard, I don't think.
We tried to be reasonable.
Yeah.
So
we're going to show you what we got.
Yeah, and while we show you what we got, we are going to drink this beer. It's Earthbound Blonde. For some reason, my brain suddenly was like, I'm just not going to say that.
Earthbound Blonde.
It's got a doggy on it.
Yeah, and it has cardamom, black pepper, and tea in it, so it sounded interesting to me. Right, so there's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Blonde.
Cheers.
I have more than you. I kind of like it.
I do like it.
At first I was like, no, and then I was like, yes.
Yes. And it actually, like, smells really good, too.
See, I thought the smell made me think it was going to be sour. And so I was, like, bracing myself for sour, but it's not. It's pretty good, though. It's a nice flavor.
This. Yeah, this is really tasty. This is, like, the first, like, really unique beer I've had in a long time.
Yeah. It definitely, you can taste the, like, I guess it's the cardamom, I think.
That little bit of, like, a spicy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good, though. I like that. It's very tasty. Nice, like, refreshing. Be good for, like, warm weather beer. It's kind of warm today.
It is.
Not bad.
I am wearing it today. I didn't even wear one.
I didn't either. I've just been wearing this jacket. Yeah. Okay, so I think I have 8 books.
And I have 6 books.
So I'll go first. Of course, I got some sci-fi. So the first one I have is called Maximum Light by Nancy Kress. This is set, it says a few decades in the future, which when this was published might be, you know, now. Well, probably longer. It was published in 98.
Yeah.
And it says that humanity's ability to conceive children has been severely reduced by population and disease. It's about a teenage girl who sees something shocking. I don't know. Let me just read this last. let me read this last line to you. So the teenage girl goes to a doctor, who's the only one who suspects she might be telling the truth about what she saw. And then it says, and a man wakes up one morning calmed by a drug that helps edit unpleasant memories, but with his testicles gone.
The fuck?
So I had to get it after reading that line. It sounded interesting to me anyway, but then I read the testicles gone part, and I was like, sold.
Yeah, you can't skip out on missing testicles, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, I also had to get some sci-fi. So the first one I bought kind of seemed like it would be maybe a little silly, but it's called Carriers by Patrick Lynch. And it is the story of a virus worse than Ebola. It's like the tagline says, a team of American biological warfare experts comes to this rainforest and finds a bunch of corpses. And it's a virus. It says it's not Ebola, but it's just as deadly and 100 times more contagious. It is unknown. It is invisible. And it is airborne. And I like me a good, like, viral apocalypse story, so.
Yeah.
Or, like, viral plague or whatever story. So.
Yeah. Next, I picked up another book by Nancy Kress. I've never read her before, but hopefully she's good. This one's called Steel Across the Sky. In this book, an alien base appears on the moon, and the aliens recruit this group of humans to travel with them, and then they bring back this knowledge that they've gathered from distant worlds to Earth. So, I don't know, it sounded cool.
Sounds pretty cool. I also got a book by Nancy Kress, which is An Alien Light. It says, it's a sweeping novel of destiny and betrayal. We are taken to a faraway planet where a cruel experiment is underway, an experiment designed to study the strangest species in the universe, the only spacefaring race that has never lost its taste for shedding its own blood, humankind.
Next I have another sci-fi called The Centaur in the Garden, and it is by Moasir Sliar. I'm sorry, I probably butchered that. I think this is translated. It says translated by Margaret A. Neves. I'm not sure what language it was originally published in, but it says it's about. Oh, I think it's probably Portuguese because it says. I think it's from Brazil.
Interesting.
Well, where was this when we needed sci-fi from South America?
Running. I don't know.
The description was almost sold me, which it says, a novel about a centaur who is Brazilian and Jewish, who falls in love and marries, who is loved by another creature as delightful as he, and who possibly discovers the mystery of his life. But this review of it is what really sold me. This person says, with the exception of Kafka's Metamorphosis, I cannot think of another book that so well combines myth and reality, the daily mythology of our lives with the grander myths of our shared past. Like, if you compare it to Kafka...
I mean, come on.
Come on.
But you did have that book that compared it to The Lord of the Rings. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And that was not...
Yeah. No, and that was not a Lord of the Rings book. But this sounds like it'll be fun anyway. It says it's comedic and erotic.
Sounds like a good time. Centaurs getting busy. I got The Ragbone Man by Charlotte Lawrence. And from what I can ascertain, this is a book about a woman who owns like an occult shop, and someone brings in like a mysterious book to the occult shop, and it begins like invading her dreams, and she must find out the fuck and like who the identity of the man who brought the book. I'm really eloquent when I'm describing plot points.
Yeah. My next one has a cover that kind of rivals that one, I think. But it's called Through a Brazen Mirror by Delia Sherman, about a sorceress and a mirror foretells her execution. She needs to sacrifice her own daughter to shatter the mirror's prophecy. And so I think it's about, her trying to kill her daughter and her daughter trying not to be killed.
Maybe not being so into that, like maybe not digging that so much.
Yeah, I don't know, it just sounded kind of cool, and the cover is pretty cheesy, but I like it.
The cover is delectable.
Yeah.
I enjoy it, yeah.
It says, her daughter will die so that she may live.
It's fucked up. It's real fucked up.
Yeah.
I got The Winter Ghosts by Kate, I don't know if you'd say that, Moss, not like Kate Moss, but like this Kate Moss.
Right.
I have another book by Kate Moss, but it ended up being like the second or third book in a series, so I haven't read it yet. But it's Sepulchre.
Oh, yeah.
I can never say that fucking word.
I can't either, so...
I am. So this book, though, is not part of a series from what I can tell. So this is about a man who, I guess, loses his brother in World War I. And so he is like trying to find answers and returns to some battlefield and meets a woman. And they trade stories and end up accidentally uncovering a tragic mystery that goes back through the centuries. So sounds intriguing.
So this I got in the classics section, but I've never heard of this, but it sounded interesting.
Yeah.
It's The Vampire and Other Tales of the Macabre by John Polidori. So I've never heard of John Polidori, but I guess he's a classic. So these are just short stories, short horror stories, I would assume.
I love it.
So thought that might be interesting.
I got this book called By the Light of My Father's Smile by Alice Walker. I knew I was going to buy it before I even read what it was about because it's by Alice Walker. And I didn't have it yet. So I honestly didn't read what this was about until right now. So yeah, I don't know what that book's about. But it was Alice
Google
Walker.
it.
And yeah, Google knows. Just ask Google. But yeah, I love Alice Walker, and I want to own all of her books, and so I purchased it.
All right. Next, I have a book by Edith Wharton called The Mother's Recompense.
Recompense.
Recompense?
Yes.
There we go.
That's a word I can actually pronounce, y'all. Write it down.
And I also didn't even look what this was about. I just like Edith Wharton, so I got one of her books. They had a few of her books that I don't own there, but I just picked this one because it looked the nicest, like the cover and stuff, and the condition of it is pretty dang good. I don't know, it doesn't even really have a description of what it's about on it. It just has like someone's an excerpt from the introduction. So yeah, I don't really know what this is about either. Probably something depressing, because that's kind of how Edith Wharton
That's her jam.
rolls.
Yeah, that's her deal. I got The Returned by Jason Mott. I might have read this like years and years ago. I vaguely remember it, and I remember liking it, so I figured I would purchase it and read it again. Ish, maybe, if I've already read it. But this is about people who have died just start coming back, like at the age they were when they died, and they just like show up at their houses like nothing's doing.
Oh, that does sound familiar.
Yeah, like I really think I read this, but I don't.
I think Whitney told me about this book.
Really?
I feel like, and maybe I told you about it. I don't know.
Maybe. Well, I think Lindy might have told me about this years and years ago. When she told me, like, because I think I read this right around the time I read like When She Woke, which was a Lindy recommendation. But I don't remember. Bubby, you can't jump up here right now. We have a precarious camera situation.
Yeah. He's so upset. Well, I have 2 more books, and this one's another sci-fi, and it's called Encounters with Aliens. Yeah, but this is edited by George W. Early, and they're all short stories about aliens. And it looks like really short. Like if you look inside, the margins are really big and the font is big, so
it's
I don't know.
Probably be a quick read.
Yeah, I just thought it might be
quick,
a
silly little
fun little
sippy
collection, and the cover was just too much.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. Oh, and then my last one I got is About a Boy by Nick Hornby. I have almost bought this book several times because I really like this movie, and there was a show with Minnie Driver and whatever. I don't know the actor's name who played the lead man character. What? Words. But yeah, I thought this might just be like a nice, sweet rom-com type of thing. Although I don't remember. I think in the movie it's not exactly a rom-com. Like, they don't get together in the end, but in the show, it seemed like it was going more toward that direction. But I think maybe it got canceled before they ever finished it. I'm not sure. But yeah, this is about, if it's the same as the movie anyway, it's about this man who's, like, well off because he had, like, one really huge, like, Christmas song hit. And so he just basically lives off that one song. So he's kind of just doesn't do anything. He's, like, this rich, lazy asshole. And then he meets this little boy who he befriends and, like, not in a creepy way.
In a creepy way.
And this boy is, like, a total nerd and is, like, kind of weird and doesn't fit in. And so he kind of, like, helps this little boy out. And then the mom is, like, also weird.
Bunch of weirdos.
Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah. And this beer.
I really dig this beer.
I like it.
It's very tasty. I like it.
And that's from, I don't think I've ever had anything from this brewery. Earthbound beer.
No, I don't think I have either.
Yeah.
Is
it's
really
in
good.
It's in St. Louis.
St. Louis.
So, yeah. That's it. Let us know your thoughts on these books if you read any of them.
Yeah. And I guess that's it for us. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye.
Bye.